Cuse Pregame continues. Welcome back, everyone, to the Carrier Dome. We're now joined by basketball royalty. We, of course, have Duke in the building and Mr. Dave Bing, Hall of Famer and former Syracuse player, and, of course, the Jim Boeheim roommate and teammate. Dave, thanks for being with us.
Well, it's my pleasure being here.
It's great to have you here, and congratulations. You were named, honored yet again, named to the ACC Basketball Legends class for 2014, so you'll be honored down at the ACC tournament. What does that mean to you? Obviously, you didn't play in the ACC, but it's a nice thing.
It means they like old guys. That's all I.
You certainly did enough in your career to warrant it, though.
Well, thank you so very much. I mean, it all started here for me, and to come back and see the excitement in this place, to see what the game is all about and how it's changed is very rewarding.
A lot of the fans here have gotten to know Coach Boeheim and his personality from watching him on the sidelines as a coach. Tell us what his personality was like from your perspective as a player.
Jimmy was very smart as a player. He wasn't gifted with great jumping ability, a lot of speed, or any of that, but he was very heady. He was very smart. He knew that I was going to be double teamed a lot, so he always knew how to find the open spot, and he could shoot the ball. He was a good player, and in our senior year, as we played in the backcourt together, we had a very good backcourt.
And that leaves it up to your last game in the college career happened to be against Duke, and actually Boeheim had a comment a little this week in the paper, and he was saying how you were double and triple teamed. Obviously, he didn't get open enough in that game. But can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, I didn't really have a great game, but they double and triple teamed me and said, you know, the guy's unselfish, and if somebody's open, he's going to give him the ball. And I think I had 9 shots in that game, and that just wasn't enough attempts. But long story short, Duke had an outstanding team. They had a couple of guys that played in the NBA, and Jack Marin and Bob Vasendak and Bob Verger. But that last game was tough, and I'm surely hoping that we pay them back tonight.
Yes, a little bit extra tonight. Obviously, you've watched the program through the Big East years and been a fan. You come in for a couple games every year. But what about switching to the ACC and now playing Duke in North Carolina? How exciting is that for you as a former player?
Well, it's quite different because when I played, we didn't even have the Big East, and the Big East really was a dominant. It was a dominant basketball tournament when they played in New York in particular. They had a lot of good teams. ACC has always been very tough. Syracuse transferring to the ACC is not an easy job for Jimmy. And by playing Duke tonight, North Carolina, Wake Forest, teams that's been a perennial powerhouse, it's not going to be an easy game for him tonight, but surely I hope we come out on top.
Well, I wanted to ask you too. You know Jim so well, and he's playing a very good friend of his, or coaching against. Have you talked to him? How does he approach it? He tells us it's just another game, but what's he really feel?
I do think that's his approach. We were together last night. We'll probably be together later tonight, and I'm hoping that he's in a good mood. And the only way he'll be in a good mood is they win. But I tell you, even if they were to lose tonight, because he's such good friends with Mike and they have such a great respect for each other, I don't think he'll have sour grapes, but I know he wants to win this game.
It is tremendous to see you again, sir. Thank you so much for being with us. Enjoy yourself tonight, and we hope to see you back again for another game.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
All right, that is Dave Bing, a member of the 2014 ACC Basketball Legends class. We will see him down at the ACC tournament in Greensboro, being honored in a couple of months. But right now, it's all about the Duke Blue Devils, and we are counting down the tip-off here at Cuse Pregame. Less than 13 minutes away. We'll take a look at what else is going on around the ACC and talk more about this one when we come back.
Cuse Pregame on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel is sponsored by Skinny Atlas Jewelry, located in Skinny Atlas and Fayetteville. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by the Bill Wrap Superstore. Make the smart choice. Shop the Bill Wrap Superstore.
I tell you what, they are sitting all the way over in section 324 underneath the Jim Brown banner, all the way in the back corner, as far back as I've ever seen, for a record crowd of 35,446. The Orange have just taken the court for their pregame warm-ups, and the crowd is ready for this one. Welcome back to Cuse Pregame. We are just moments away from tip-off, guys, and it really is the start of a big weekend for Syracuse because they play Duke tonight, yes, but then Notre Dame's coming in Monday. Notre Dame is not going to be an easy game, and it's going to be hard, I would think, after a game of this kind of build-up to get energy back for that game.
Yeah, you've got to hope not for letdown Monday night. Notre Dame, a team that struggled on the road. They got a road win today. I think that's just their second of the year. So for Syracuse, got to take care of business today and then try and get it screwed back on straight for Monday night. So a tough stretch for the Orange.
Yeah, Notre Dame has already played today. They won, actually, their third ACC victory of the season out at Boston College. They had to work for it, though. This game went into overtime before Notre Dame was able to pull it out. And the Irish, again, improving to 3-6 now. This is a team that beat Duke at home, so we know that Notre Dame is capable of taking down a team like this. But we'll see what they've got for the Orange when they come into the Carrier Dome on Monday. Some other scores for you. Maryland, a big winner. Tech is just struggling in the league. North Carolina beating North Carolina State, so the Tar Heels are back to 4-4 in the conference. Florida State losing at home to Clemson. Tell you what, the Tigers 5-3 in the ACC. Look out for them. Miami beating Norfolk State in a non-league game. And of course, Duke, Syracuse, the marquee matchup, 6:30 p.m. tip-off. Guys, any kind of closing comments on this game? I mean, what more can you say about a game we've been looking forward to for months, Jimmy?
I think the team that's going to have the best shot of winning is the team that can keep the other one off the offensive boards, and they make their foul shots at the end of the game.
All right. Well, you know, we'll see how it plays out. That's why they play the games in the first of two meetings. 3 weeks from tonight, these same two teams will be playing down in Durham. Orange overtime tonight on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. Following tonight's game, about 8:30, 8:40 or so. And then we've got Cuse pregame and Orange overtime coming your way again Monday night, 6:30 for the pregame, and the postgame about 9:10 or so on Monday after Syracuse and Notre Dame. Well, you can hear the crowd. You can see the big heads. They are ready to go. So are we. Thanks for joining us here for Cuse Pregame. For Danny and Jim, I'm Mark. We'll see you next time. Jim Boeheim has won more games than anyone in the history of college basketball, except for the guy he's facing tonight, Mike Krzyzewski, closing in on 1,000 wins at Duke. Tonight, a new on-campus record crowd will be here to witness the clash of the Titans. Cuse Pregame is next. Kids started camping out 2 weeks ago for good seats, and they were in them 2 hours before tip-off. The stars of College Game Day talking about this one all day long, and now it is finally here. And so are 35,000 plus to watch Syracuse and Duke for the first time in 16 years and the very first time in the ACC. Hello again, everybody. Welcome inside the Carrier Dome. Welcome to Cuse Pregame. Great to have you here as we count down to tip-off at the bottom of the hour. Mark Larson alongside Danny Liedke and former Syracuse guard Jim Lee. Gentlemen, your table is just about ready. I'll take you there in just a sec. Let's start with the game. I mean, we've been looking forward to this since October, Danny.
Well, everybody in Syracuse, the Super Bowl's today, not tomorrow. What an atmosphere here. Talk about Duke this, Duke that. Everywhere you go, it's all about Duke. Hoyas are on the shelf. Duke's the new big rival, the hated rival, the Blue Devils. All the Syracuse fans, that's who they hate now. Let's have it. Let's have at it.
That's billboards all over town. Beat Duke, beat Duke. The shirts have been on sale. What are the players going through, Jimmy, before a game like this that had so much hype and build-up?
I mean, the media has built this up pretty good. The players know it's a big game. But when they're in the locker room, you're going over your pregame show, the chalkboard talk. You're going to do everything you've done, whether you're playing Cornell, Colgate, it doesn't matter. You have to stay focused and do the exact same thing that you've got you to this point. So they're not going to do anything different, even though they know the stake is higher and they know that Duke is a better team.
Now, you're part of the media now, too. Maybe they're watching Cuse Pregame in the locker room. That could be. If so, good luck, guys. Two of the top teams, or the two top teams, rather, in the ACC preseason poll, Duke and Syracuse, are here. So we've got the great teams and great individual talent. 3 of the 5 players on the preseason All-ACC team, including preseason Player of the Year C.J. Fair and preseason Rookie of the Year Jabari Parker. So lots to watch out there on the floor tonight. Lots of talent, and we look forward to seeing it go. Let's take a look at the storylines now surrounding this game. And first and foremost, it starts with the friendly foes. Mike Krzyzewski and Jim Boeheim matching up for only the 3rd time as head coaches. Diaper Dandy duel. We've got Tyler Ennis dueling with Jabari Parker, perhaps for the lead in the ACC Rookie of the Year race. And record-setting night as well. In a couple of ways, not only a record-setting crown for Syracuse, but also a chance for the best start in program history tonight. Well, let's start with Coach Bay and Coach K. Not only 2 of the best coaches in college basketball, but 2 of the closest coaches in the profession. Whomever loses tonight is going to be upset that they lost, but happy for the other.
Mike Krzyzewski and I have been friends for so long, I can't remember. That's, it's that long.
We're best friends, and we've known each other for decades.
And yet for decades, Mike Krzyzewski and Jim Boeheim have tried to avoid each other, during college basketball season anyway. But now that they're both in the same conference, in addition to being in a league of their own, these buddies are being forced to battle for the first time since 1998.
We would never schedule ourselves for a non-league game because, we don't want to do that. But, that'll be fine.
Given their Hall of Fame resumes, actually a lot more than just fine. Jim Boeheim has 940 wins in his 38th season at Syracuse. Mike Krzyzewski has 974 wins in his 34th season at Duke. That's 1,900 plus wins, 15 Final Fours, and 5 national championships combined. So that's actually fine on steroids.
We know that every time we coach against each other, right now it'll be an historic event with the 2 winningest coaches going at it at the same time. And I'm sure that we will handle that in a way that will be good for the game.
Together, they've won 2 Olympic gold medals. Separately, they've won just about everything else, including 1 game each against the other. So you might call this the rubber match, until they meet again in Durham next month.
A lot of people want to see what happens when 2 really good programs get together and 2 guys who've been coaching a long time get together, and hopefully the game will measure up to the build-up.
Same thing we say about the Super Bowl every year. Let's hope the game measures up to the hype. You look at their numbers, just staggering. 1,900 plus career wins, 130 career wins in the NCAA tournament alone, the Final Fours, the national titles. 2 guys who are very good friends, Jimmy. How will that play out tonight when they go head-to-head?
I don't think it'll matter much. Like both coaches said, they're going to play hard. They're going to feel good if the other one wins. They're going to feel good for them. They're going to talk about it later. The good thing about it is both those coaches are 2 of the most loyal coaches in the country to their prospective schools. And I've never had the opportunity to meet Coach K. That's why both programs are consistent. My wife had the opportunity to talk to him when she brought my son down to a basketball camp. I think Danny's had the opportunity to meet him, and I think he could speak a little more about him.
Yeah, I actually did have the good fortune of meeting him, and I have to say, what a guy. I see why kids want to go through a wall for this guy. Just demands instant respect. He can transition from 1 second kind of busting chops to teaching a lesson and demanding attention, and even how humble he was in the loss his last trip up here to Syracuse. Class act all the way. You can see the West Point influence in him. I fully understand why a kid would want to play basketball for Coach Krzyzewski.
And through their work in the Olympics, of course, Coach K and Coach Boeheim, the families are very close. Even the assistant coaches all know each other, so a strong connection between these 2 programs. Now, Diaper Dandy duel is our second storyline. We've got the 2 top freshmen in the conference, if not the country. Jabari Parker got all the hype in the preseason, but Tyler Ennis is kind of closing on him.
They're 2 completely different types of players, and so it's tough to compare the 2 against each other. I mean, Tyler Ennis, he makes the Syracuse team better. He makes all of his teammates better, but I don't think that Jabari Parker Duke can play without him. He makes his team good. He doesn't make the rest of them better, but they can't play without him.
Yeah, a good point. I mean, he might be their best player, but does he make everybody else better? Well, he does have 3 consecutive double-doubles coming in, so Jabari Parker staking his claim to that ACC Rookie of the Year, at least at this point. Third storyline, record-setting night in a couple of ways for the Orange. Not only do they have a chance to get to 21-0, which would be the best start in program history, but Danny, they've also, of course, are going to set that crowd record tonight, and it could have some sort of impact, couldn't it?
Well, they obviously want to get this crowd behind them for the entire game. Obviously, early and often. Duke hasn't experienced a crowd like this in the regular season this season, so they want to try and rattle them. Syracuse wants to ride that wave. What an atmosphere. People have been waiting for this all week. They let them in here early. People are energized, ready to go. This is what it's all about for college basketball. Syracuse gets to take their bite of the apple here tonight.
It is the third 30,000-plus crowd of the season. Syracuse has won the first 2 over North Carolina and Pittsburgh. Jim Boeheim always very appreciative of the fans that come out. As we go to break, let's hear from the head coach on his thoughts on the kids out in Boeheimburg this week.
Great fans. I think fans make a basketball program. We have unbelievable fans, student body, obviously, all these people, but our fans in general. I think it's one of the amazing things in college basketball. People around the country look and see over 30,000 people at our games in a relatively small city, and it's an amazing thing. We're very, very proud of it, and it helps make our basketball program.
Cuse Pregame on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel is sponsored by Upstate University Hospital. Knowing changes everything. By Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Summit Automotive. We've got your truck at summitcars.com.
The Loud House is packed to the gills, and we've still got 22 minutes to tip off. Everybody in their seats getting ready for Duke and Syracuse, the first of 2 meetings this season. Welcome back to Cuse Pregame, everyone. The Duke Blue Devils come in playing as well as any team in the country, according to Jim Boeheim. They're ranked 17th, but don't let that fool you. This team has won 5 games in a row, Jim. 4 of them in a row by double digits, including by 15 at Pittsburgh Monday night.
They're playing a lot better now than they were back in November, December. The good thing about them, they play unbelievable man pressure the whole court. They've got a 10-man rotation, which keeps everybody fresh. They can all shoot the ball. And what they've got to keep Syracuse off the offensive boards, and they've got to keep Tyler Ennis under control. If something happens to Ennis today in foul trouble, Syracuse is going to have a trouble against their pressure.
Yeah, certainly a team that can shoot the ball. They've got 4 guys 45% or better from outside the arc. They are the top 3-point shooting team in the ACC. They are the top scoring team in the ACC. Jim Boeheim knows his team will be tested. It's toughest test of the season by far here tonight.
I think Duke at the end of the day will be a great team. I think they're a Final Four team. They've got multiple guys that can play. They've got great depth, and they have a great system with a great coach. So this is a great game, and this will be a great game for fans to see. It's exciting.
We know it's a big game, and everyone's been talking about it for a while, but we just put it behind us, so we just go out there and play and have fun.
We just try to handle it like every other game, just come in prepared, just like we have been throughout the season, and try to get the win like we have been.
Yeah, I've watched them play, a couple times. I think they're really, putting it together, right now. They beat Pittsburgh at home, which is not easy, but as far as us, we're just going to approach it like any other game.
It's an event. It's not a game. 2 of the greatest coaches to ever coach, 2 of the greatest programs to ever play. We've got so much respect for them. I know they have a lot of respect for us. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, awesome. When you look at Syracuse's record, Danny, at 20-0, you think, well, Duke's lost 4 games, so maybe Syracuse is a better team, but not when you see the way they've been playing, really.
Well, obviously Syracuse has been the king of the last 5 minutes of games. That's a great sign. However, why have they got to that point? They've been able to weather lapses. today's a game they can't afford to have a lapse. Duke is playing too good at this point in the season for Syracuse to have that lapse. They have a lapse, it's going to be a long night for Syracuse. They have to play 40 minutes of solid basketball to win this game here on their home floor.
They had a big lapse at that Wednesday night at Wake Forest, kind of their final Duke pregame warm-up game for Syracuse. But they went a stretch in the first half where they just couldn't put it in the basket, missed 14 shots in a row. On the plus side, their defense has been very good. They are second in the league in scoring defense. So when you play defense, you always give yourself a chance to win, Jim.
Yeah, and on the flip side of what Danny said, the sign of a good team is when you're not playing your best basketball, but you can find a way to win the basketball game. That's a sign of a good team. You don't want to push your luck too far on that, but it is a different sign, a different way to look at it.
You look at the numbers on Syracuse in the first half and second half defensively. They're giving up 29 points in the second half, but that is second in the nation, and they're fifth in the country, giving up just under 58 points a game. Again, they'll be tested against a team that averages 81 points per game, but Coach K knows his team will also be facing a big test.
They're very difficult to score against, and they have played a zone defense, and that's what they play. But it's not just a zone defense. It's a defense that's very active, that goes for steals and traps in that segment, in that segment of the court. And in Cooney and Ennis, they have the two top steals leaders in our conference. And then if you get it on the baseline or on the side from under out of bounds, they trap you with really long, tall, and athletic players.
We just got to be strong with the ball, move the ball, make them work on defense, and on the other end, when they have the ball, pressure them and maybe try to get into their legs, and maybe the zone get a little bit lazier than normal. But we just got to be strong with the ball. It was anticipated on our schedule ever since they've declared to be in the ACC. We're a traditional good team in our conference. They're coming from the Big East, so this is going to be a very big game. Of course, it's just something that we need to use as to get to that other hump. It's just that underdog team.
Maybe there'll be something to the color orange. In the game before their 5-game winning streak, Duke lost at Clemson, kind of a head-scratcher by 13. So as good as they've been, they've also been a little bit tough to figure out on the road. When we come back, a Syracuse legend, Dave Bing, is our guest next on Cuse Pregame.
Cuse Pregame on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel is sponsored by RSM Medical Associates, sports medicine, keeping you at the top of your game. And by BHL, your personal team of insurance and risk management specialists.